Now we're in the midst of the Vasa rains retreat, right? This period, August. Okay, so this is our new study, chapter 9 of the SD 37, Esukārī Sutta. This is a new sutta. I don't think we have studied this before. And here again, this sutta we see a kind of
sorry, what page?
this is page 158. 158, chapter 9 of page 158. Esukārī is the name of the person. Huh? So this sutta is named after the person. Esukārī. M96, Majjhima Sutta. Majjhima Suttas very instructive. They talk about various important aspects of Buddhism and leading on to meditation. Okay, the Digha Nikaya tend to be long stories, and there's not much practice there. More theories. The Digha Nikaya, the long suttas, they are like what we call today a prospectus. In other words, some kind of document to advertise Buddhism, so that intelligent people will be curious and interested to find out more about the Dharma. But once you have Majjhima Nikaya onwards, the suttas are more practice-oriented. Okay? So today's sutta, the key word is service, paricariya, service. So here you have this brahmin who comes along to the Buddha. He has this idea. He's a traditional brahmin who believes in the four castes, the four classes. And those days, they believe that you are born into those classes and you are stuck there. So, for example, you're born as in the priest class, you're very lucky, or you're high class, most powerful, especially in the west of where the Buddha lived. West means you got to imagine India, this triangle-shaped country, and then the Ganges River, northern India, the central part, that is Buddha land called the Middle Country. Towards the east will be Calcutta and so on, Myanmar. Towards the west will be Pakistan and Iran and so on. So further to the west is mostly Brahmins. Whereas where the Buddha lived, the dominant class would be the kshatriyas, the noblemen, if you like, the warrior class. So those days, you're born into those classes. So let's say if you're born, let's say in Singapore also we have these kind of classes, but you're not born into these classes. I mean, you can work yourself. You study politics, then you become a politician. If you study teaching, you become a teacher. If you don't study, then you've got to do hard labor. So it can be any of the classes. They are arranged according to work. But in the Buddha's time, it's according to birth. So this was an idea which the Brahmins invented. So this person was thinking that, this higher class should be served by the lower classes. So to him, the higher class are the priests, the Brahmins, like the church, if you like, in Robin Hood's time. So the other three classes, you have the warriors, or in Europe, in the West, we call the knights, the soldiers, the fighters, and then you have the merchant class, and then you have the working class. And after that, you have the outcasts. They don't even want to mention the outcasts, but they are there. So the three lower classes are supposed to serve the upper classes. And then the third class is the kshatriyas, the noblemen. They're supposed to be served by their own people and the two lower classes. And then further down, you have the merchant class. In the merchant class, they're supposed to serve by the class below them, or themselves. So it goes like that. So this Brahmin, asked the Buddha, what do you think of this? Right? So that's how the sutta starts. So this is on page 160. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jeta's Grove near Savatthi. It's a very familiar place here. This is on page 160. Okay. Then section 2. Then the Brahmin Esukārī went up to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and friendly exchange was concluded, he sat down at one side, sitting thus at one side, he said this to the Blessed One. Brahmins, Master Gautama, declare or prescribe 4 types of services. Namely, they declare service to Brahmins or the priest. There should be as the priest. Just correction. These documents are still draft, so sometimes there are typos, but they're correct. They declare service to the kshatriyas, or the nobles. They declare service to the vaishyas, or the merchants. They declare service to the shudras, or the workers. Here, Master Gautama, the Brahmins declare, or teach, if you like, the service to a Brahmin as follows. A Brahmin should be served as a Brahmin. A Brahmin should serve a Brahmin, or a kshatriya should serve a Brahmin, or a vaishya should serve a Brahmin, or a shudra should serve a Brahmin. Right? So in other words, you have the highest class as a Brahmin, the Brahmins can serve themselves, and the 3 lower classes also serve the Brahmin. And then next one, 3.3. Here, Master Gautama, the Brahmins declare the service to a kshatriya as follows. Right? So here, service to kshatriya, to the nobles, meaning what? The nobles serve themselves, but the Brahmins don't, because the Brahmin are higher class. And the other 3 lower classes will serve the Brahmins also. And then next one, we have the vaishya. The vaishya are the merchants. So the merchants serve themselves, and the lower class, the shudra, also serve the vaishyas. And then the last one, number 4, section 3.5. Here, Master Gautama, the Brahmins declare the service to a shudra as follows. Only a shudra should serve a shudra. For who else should serve a shudra? Okay? Notice it's not even mentioned here that outcasts should serve anyone. The outcasts do work in society too, but they do not personally serve the other 3 classes because they're not supposed to come in contact. Can you imagine there is this social division, They are outcasts, that means they're not supposed to be seen in society. And if they see this high class coming, they should quickly, move away. And they definitely should not even allow their shadow to touch the other group. So if you imagine the kind of rigidity in this kind of system. So the Buddha was very outspoken against this. The Buddha rejected all this. So he says that, well, anyone from any class can join the order, become a monk. So he says these 4 classes, they are like the 4 great rivers of India. Yeah? There are 4 big rivers, Ganges, Yamuna, and so on, And all these 4 rivers flow, their waters flow into the ocean. But once the water goes into the ocean, we don't call the water by the name Ganges, Yamuna, Achiravati anymore. See, they simply call the Great Ocean. So the Buddha says, even so, anyone from any class, you can be a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or a Shudra, you become a monk, you're just a monk. We don't know you by the class anymore. So this is a very egalitarian kind of arrangement. So in that sense, the Buddha was a reformist because he accepts anyone from any class. And not only that, the Buddha also accepts women to be ordained as nuns. This also is something which is very new. Of course, the Buddha was not the only one who did that. The Jains also accept women, and the Vaṇṇas also accept women. But the Brahmins, women don't perform any religious duties. So the Brahmins were very man-oriented kind of philosophy and social system, if you like. So the Buddha is the one of those very important people who reform this idea, who open up religion for everybody, in other words. So you can imagine this Brahmin coming to ask the Buddha, what do you think? So these services, and this is the way society should work. The lower class serve the upper class. Okay, the Buddha, we can already guess the Buddha's answer. The Buddha's answer begins, 4.1. But Brahmin, does the whole world agree in this with the Brahmins when they declare these 4 kinds of services? So the first reply already is already undermined the whole argument. the Buddha say, yes, you can have all these wonderful ideas, right? You have this high class, the priests, and the priests served by all the other lower classes. But does the whole world agree? Who is the whole world here? Of course, here we can say the civilized world within the reach of Indian society in the Buddha's time. Well, we can even say the whole ancient world in Asia, even if you like. For example, the Buddha would say that elsewhere, elsewhere here meaning a bit to the west, the Persian Empire. The Buddha says there are only two classes, masters and slaves. And even then, if you are rich, you can buy back your freedom. So what the Buddha is saying, all these four-class system, they are invented by the Brahmins. They are not natural. They are inventions, social constructions. So here, the Buddha is using the same argument and says, does the whole world agree? Does everyone agree? Or you can say, does everyone in this country agree to it? Then the Brahmins to answer, no, Master Gautama. So almost in one breath, you can say the Buddha proved that his whole idea is wrong. But then he's going to go into details. The Buddha gives what is called a parable. 4.2. Suppose, Brahmin, there were a person poor, owning nothing, needy, and one were to force on him a morsel that he does not want, saying, come now, my man, you must eat this meat, and you must pay its price too. Even so, Brahmin, the Brahmins have no consent of the recluses and Brahmins, and yet they declare these four kinds of services, right? So here, the Buddha is quite humorous and very incisive sometimes. He says, well, imagine, there's this poor man, and someone comes along and says, you must eat this, and force the food into his mouth. And then after that, you must pay for it. It's like you go travel, you go on a tour, and this hawker stop you, put food in your mouth, and you must pay for it. You have to be very careful. This happens in JB, right? You go there, these people, they don't put food in your mouth, but they put a piece of paper, they say you scrape, and then you get good luck. So there's always something there to win, and then they'll bring you to the office, and then they start, forcing you to buy things in a very gentle way. They're very clever because they say it is an exchange. They give you something, right? So that also is wrong. So we cannot be forced into any kind of social arrangement. That's the meaning. Okay, next part.
Sorry.
Yes, sure.
So you mentioned about this JB incident, right? Yeah, I recall when I was in Hainan Town recently. There happened to be one day or 1 week there's animal liberation. So these people, tourists, they went to this coastal area, yes. And then there were the locals where those turtle a lot, plentiful. So the children went rushing to look at the turtle. They said, "Oh, you can take one and release to the ocean." Today is animal liberation. So these children happily took the thing and then wanted to release. Then I told the parent, I said, you better check first. Otherwise you may have to pay a lot for this. They said, no, today is good. It's animal liberation. You do it for good cause.
So did they have to pay?
So he went to check. Said, do you need any money to pay for this? They said, today is okay. You release this, then you pay a small fee.
Okay.
In China, there are a lot of this kind of thing. Very careful. Okay. You thought it's a good thing, end up you say, oh, you released my turtle, now you got to pay. Whatever cost you have to pay.
Yeah,
so a lot of tricky business going on. I'm not saying China in China, but many places.
Read the fine points, fine prints. Yeah. So this is kind of wrong livelihood, definitely. That people are tricked or forced into it. Anyway, so here, coming back to the Sutta section 5, I do not say, Brahmin, that one should serve all, nor do I, Brahmin, say that one should not serve all. Okay, this is the key line. Now there is an alternate translation, square brackets. I do not say, Brahmin, that all is worth serving, nor do I, Brahmin, say that all is not worth serving. Now this is not a play on words. This is the way the Buddha is trying to describe his neutrality. He says, I'm not for or against serving others. But the key word here is all. The Buddha didn't say everyone, You see, the sense would be different if I read it this way. I use the word everyone. I do not say that one should serve everyone. Nor do I, Brahmins, say that one should not serve everyone. He says all, not everyone. So when the word all, yes, it can mean everyone, but it has a much broader meaning. So this is where you can see the Buddha's humor again. So this is the wonderful thing about studying suttas. You begin to see how the Buddha is able to use language to slowly guide the audience or the person in the sutta or ourselves from worldly meaning to a deeper Dhamma meaning. Okay? So why did the Buddha use all here? Now if you have studied the suttas broadly, you know the word all is a very important word in Buddhism. Do you remember the Pali word for all? What is the Pali word for all? Sabba. Sabba. Sabba, Sabba in Malay. Okay? There's also a sutta by the name. Sabba Sutta. Do you remember we studied the sutta? Sabba Sutta? The all. What is the all? The all are our five senses plus the mind, the six senses in other words. The all. Okay. So here the Buddha is addressing the problem that the brahmins say. He's saying, you can serve anyone you like, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to measure according to class. In the sense the Buddha is saying, well, if you can pay for it, anyone can serve you. If you're a lay person, no problem there. So it's not a matter of class. So you can begin to see in the Buddha's time there's also this change in the economic system, where there is this service system. Okay? It is very interesting because if you study a broader world history, you begin to understand what's going on here. Because before the Buddha's time, you have this feudal system where there are the peasants. If you're a peasant, you're born into that family, you're farmers, you work on the land, you grow crops, and that's all you do. Day in, day out. You have to produce crops and you have to give a bit of it to the landowner or to the king. Right? Otherwise you'll be in trouble, you know. So, and then the rest you keep for yourself. Sometimes you might not even have enough for yourself. And that's all you do, you're not paid. There's no money economy there. And the king also is like that, you know, he wants more land to conquer the next land and so on. So there was no idea of value behind money, the way we think of it today. This idea came much later. You might even say the last few hundred years. So, of course, in the Buddha's time, there is this idea also beginning to change from this class system where if you're born in the low class, you have to serve the upper classes, where this money economy is beginning to come. Okay? So in a sense, it's very interesting because, you know, I was telling my friend in one book which Van Doren wrote about history of knowledge, where he said, he gave this idea, you know, that money economy was much later, very modern thing. But we can see in the history of Buddhism, it was beginning in the Buddha's time already. So the Buddha is using the money economy. He said, well, if you have money, you can employ anyone, he can serve you. It doesn't matter what class you are. So that's one point he's addressing here. That is why also he's telling the monks, you must have nothing to do with money. Because if you have money, then you are part of the world. Right? But here the Buddha is going deeper and broader. He's saying, you can serve all or you don't have to serve all. It depends. I have no view on that, the way it is. Here, but then he goes on to explain when you should serve the all, when you should not serve the all. So here, in other words, he's talking about each of us personally. Serving the all, that means serving our senses. How do we respond to what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think? Is it worth entertaining or not? So this is where you come to the word paricariya. Paricariya has quite a broad sense of meaning. This is where you can look introduction, you can see on page 158. Paricariya means service. Paricharaki means to move around, attend to, wait on, serve, even to worship. Right? To serve, to pay attention to worship. Paricariya. Of course, in our work today, we say service, that means people attending to you. Let's say you go for holiday, you go to a hotel, someone attends to you. Right? And when we do worship, we also call paricariya. when we pay homage to the monks and so on. So here the Buddha is saying, are you going to serve your senses? Again, it depends whether your senses, what you experience with your senses are wholesome or not. If what you see is not wholesome, unwholesome, you should not serve it, you should not entertain it, you should not pay attention to it. What you hear, smell, taste, touch, and so on, if they're negative, you should not serve them. So you can imagine the Buddha is bringing this higher. Of course, he doesn't mention it directly yet. He's slowly building this idea up. Because this brahmin is an intelligent person. So if the audience is intelligent, the Buddha will go deeper into the teachings. All right, so notice here, let's go back to number 5 again. Second paragraph, section 5. For brahmin, should it be the worse for him on account of the service, not the better for him as a result of the service, then I do not say that he should serve that one. If you attend to this thing, if you serve this thing or this person, it makes you worse, not better person, then don't do it. But indeed, brahmin, should it be the better for him on account of the service, not the worse as a result of the service, then I do say that he should serve that one. Notice again the language here. It doesn't say person, it says that one. Okay? So it says if you, in doing that service, you become a better person, then you should do it. So when the brahmin is listening, brahmin is thinking, oh, he's talking about all these classes, But the real intention is, if you look at it now, what the Buddha is saying, even your senses, if your senses, what you see is good for you, then go on doing it. Right? So the Buddha broadens the sense, not just talking about people, it's talking about individuals also, how our mind and senses work. So this paragraph is very important, the key one, number 5. Okay, so make a note of that. Any questions about, can you follow? And then the Buddha goes into detail, standard for service. Now, brahmin, if one were to ask a kshatriya thus, now whom would you serve here? The one on account of whose service you would be the worse as a result of service as you are not better, or the one on account of whose service you would be the better and as a result of whose service you are not the worst. Right? So if you ask a kshatriya, what kind of service would you do? Something you serve, you become a better person or a worse person? Of course, the answer would be, you would not serve someone or something that will make him worse. He only will, I would serve, on whose account I serve would be the better, that service I would serve. In other words, if by serving someone else, or for that matter, someone serving me, I am better or the other person is better, that's the right thing to do. So this is very general idea first. So same thing with the brahmin. You say, you ask the brahmin also will, the intelligent brahmin will say that. So to the vaishyas or the merchant, so to the shudra. In whatever service we get from others, in whatever service we give to others, if it makes us a better person, then we should follow it, we should accept it. Otherwise, we should not. Now comes number section 7. Marriage has nothing to do with family, beauty, or wealth. Section 7. Brahmin, I do not say that one is the better because one is from a high family. I do not say that one is the worse because one is from a high family. And then same thing. I do not say that someone is the better because one has an excellent complexion, good looks. I do not say that one is the worst because one has great beauty. Brahmin, I do not say that one is the better because one has immense wealth. I do not say that one is the worst because one has great wealth. So here, notice the language is, a old style language. It's a very detailed language, almost legal language if you like. Because the Buddha wants to be sure what he's talking about. So we simplify this. The Buddha says, whether a person is born in a high class family, noble family or not, it doesn't mean he's good or bad. Right? You can't say automatically, oh, it's born in a high family, so he must be a good person, or he must be a bad person. You can't say that. You cannot generalize or stereotype people. You must look at them individually. Even individually also is not always correct. We cannot say A is always bad. We can only talk about the action that the person does. This action that the person does is good or bad. Right? So it is wrong to say A is bad or A is good. We sometimes call it that in daily language, but it's not accurate. Right? For example, you think of someone you don't like, you say, oh, A is bad. But you think carefully, after you think, well, actually not true. There are sometimes he did good things too. You notice that, right? So here, what we're saying is, we cannot blanket people good or bad. We can only say the actions that they do is good or bad. And we work on that. That means people can change. That means we can send metta, loving kindness out, and then make these people stronger, and we also become stronger so that we can change for the better. Right? So in other words, there are no bad people. There are only people with bad actions. There are no good people. There are only people with good actions. So it's the actions that we look at, so to speak. Then 8.1, for Brahmin, a certain person of a high family is one who destroys life, takes the not given, indulges in sexual misconduct, speaks falsehood, speaks malicious words, speaks harsh words, speaks frivolous chatter, is covetous, has a mind of ill will, holds wrong views. As such, I do not say he is the better on account of a high family. Right. So Buddha says here, someone comes from a high, important, noble family, but he breaks all the precepts. These are the 10 precepts. They are not actually called precepts, they are called courses of conduct. Right? So here, these 10 are very familiar. Right? The 1, 2, 3, these are actions of the body. 4, 5, 6, speech, and the last 3, mind. These are the 3 doors of karma: body, speech, and mind. Right? So it's saying if someone from a high class breaks any of these 10, any of these 10 bad actions, body, speech, or mind, this person is not the better, it's worse, not good. So same thing, if a person, 8.2, the person is of high family, but he is one who refrains from destroying life, refrains from taking the not given, refrains from sexual misconduct, refrains from speaking falsehood, refrains from speaking malicious words, refrains from speaking harsh words, refrains from frivolous chatter, is not covetous, has a mind without ill will, has right views. So this person avoids the 10 unwholesome karma. Then this person, I do not say this person is the worst on account of high family. In other words, he's a good person. He's not bad because of his birth. So here, this person avoids the negative karma. So this is very similar to the suttas where the Buddha said that we are what we do. Our actions define us. We are not born good or born bad. Right? Like in the Vasita Sutta. And then the same thing also. In next one, 8.3, in terms of a person's look, good looking or bad looking, if the person, it doesn't matter person good looking or bad looking, if he breaks any of these 10 causes of karma, then we can say he's a bad person. There's a bad action at that time. And if he refrains from breaking these 10 precepts, then he's a good person. We cannot say that he's a bad person. Right? And this applies also, next page, to a person with great wealth and a rich person. We cannot say the person is good or bad just on account of his wealth alone. Right? But if he breaks any of these 10 precepts, then he's a bad person. And if he does not, if he refrains from breaking these 10 precepts, he keeps to all these 10 causes of good conduct, then we must say he's a good person. In terms of action, he's a good person. So this is quite simple, quite clear. So the Buddha elaborates this very clearly. So in other words, here, we can question this another way. How do you lay out in words like a map of goodness? How do you describe in careful detail, like a computer program, a good person versus a bad person? This is how we do it. Okay? But once you start talking, of course, you can talk some stories, simplify. This is the original coded teachings of the Buddha, so to speak. Like the law of the country. Lately I've been looking at lots of these interesting legal documents, In Singapore, a lot of people get in trouble legally. And even my neighbor in the office is getting sued by some people, debt collector, So I was looking at all this legal language. It's amazing. You don't know what you're talking about. And you go online, so you see these people, the documents are there. You can easily, just log in and look at them. Their language is, I don't know, it's space language. I think it's not it's only the trained professional understand. And they must write that way very clearly, so that when they argue, then they know exactly what they're talking about. So here you have the Buddha speaking very clear, detailed language. Of course, for us, you say, wow, this is really heavy, very hard. Yeah, but when we talk, ordinarily, we talk in simple, graphic language, But sooner or later, you may be challenged, Suppose a non-Buddhist come and say, how do you know this right? Where did the Buddha say? We have all the documents here. That's why this is our constitution. It safeguards us. Otherwise, we have to quote somebody else, some speaker who comes once in a while. Maybe you got to quote me and they say, oh, he's not enlightened, then you're in trouble. You know what I mean? So the suttas is the final authority. You can quote the sutta and then you define yourself. This is what the Buddha has taught. Okay? And then there is the refrain. This one's a reminder, okay? Section 9. I do not say, Brahmin, that one should serve all, nor do I say that one should not serve all. Right? Remember the Buddha said this earlier? For Brahmin, when on account of that service, as a result, his faith grows, his moral virtue grows, his learning grows, his charity grows, his wisdom grows, then I say he should serve that one. Okay? So now notice the Buddha is expanding the meaning of good. Right? The Buddha said if you serve someone or serve something and something good comes to you, you become a better person, then you should by all means serve. Now the Buddha said, what is that good thing that comes to you? And here you are. You have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 qualities. Yeah? So if you have these 5 qualities, you can read introduction 1.3 for details. Do you want this, what these 5 qualities are called, and other things. But never mind, I'll explain first. So in other words, if you serve others, your faith grows. Faith meaning you have more confidence in your goodness. And of course, as a Buddhist, your understanding of the 3 jewels become deeper. Then your moral virtue also grows. You become a better person in ethical and moral sense. Your learning also grows. Learning here meaning knowledge. Notice there's another word, wisdom at the end. Learning is information. You go to the internet, you get lots of information. Pure knowledge, if you like. Then charity, your kindness to others, your openness. And wisdom, knowing how to use all these things to bring happiness. So, in serving others or in being served, if faith, moral virtue, learning, charity, and wisdom grow, it is good service. If you serve others and it promotes these 5 things, by all means, serve others. In other words, support them, take care of them, work for them. So this is the right kind of service. Right kind of service promotes these 5 wonderful qualities. Okay? So this was another important number to remember, section 9. Now, next section, the Buddha talks about 4 kinds of, or rather the Brahmin introduces the idea of 4 kinds of wealth. The Brahmin says, 10.1. When this was spoken, the Brahmin Esukārī said this to the Blessed One. Brahmins, Master Gautama, declare the 4 kinds of wealth. They declare the Brahmins' wealth or property. They declare the kshatriyas' wealth. They declare the vaishyas' wealth. They declare the shudras' wealth. So this is a kind of traditional definition of wealth or things that mark the class. For example, if you are high class, you must have a certain brand of car, you must have a very big car. You should not drive yourself, you must have a chauffeur. If you are, say, a worker class, then you take MRT or bus, and something like that. So this is the characteristic. So the Brahmins define this. The Brahmins say 10.2. In this regard, Master Gautama, the Brahmins declare the Brahmin's wealth to be going on alms round. Indeed, the Brahmin despising the wealth of going on alms round is not doing his duty, just like a guard taking the not given. This, Master Gautama, is how the Brahmins declare the Brahmin's wealth. So he's saying that the Brahmin, he collects donations. That is how he becomes, that is his wealth. Right? Then the second one is the kshatriyas wealth. Nobleman's wealth is the bow and quiver. The quiver is holds arrows, or bows and arrows. So it says he must have this bow and arrow. Okay? He's the nobleman, he's the warrior. So these are his tools of trade. So here, what the Brahmin is saying is, that is what makes them rich, and that's what defines their class. The third one, 10.4, the vaishyas, these are the merchants. So their property or their wealth is plowing and cattle herding, or today we call agriculture and pastoral farming. So it says all the vaisya class must do this, go to agriculture and pastoral farming. And the fourth one, the shudra, his wealth is the sickle and carrying pole. Sickle, they got to cut grass. That means they have to work hard and carrying, labor. The laborers work. They're carrying pole to carry things. So this is their work. So the Brahmins say these are the four kinds of wealth they have. A fixed system. Then the Buddha says, again, 11.1, but Brahmin, does the whole world agree in this with the Brahmins? Can they declare all these things? And again, the Brahmin said, no. I mean, the Buddha says, you may define this, but not everybody in society agrees with this. Now here is where you need to have a background at the time, the Buddha's time, what kind of society is this? So the Buddha is saying, people today reject the whole system, where if you are born as a kshatriya means you must fight, you must use bow and arrow. The Buddha himself is a very good example. The Buddha himself doesn't have any bow and arrow. He has become a monk. You see? Right? So essentially what the Buddha is saying, it doesn't matter what class you are born into, but you don't have to do the work of that class. You can choose to do something else if you want to. So this is the new idea of the Buddha's time. Then 12.1. So now the Buddha says, what really is the true wealth of these people? 12.1. The noble supramandian dharma, Brahmin, is a person's wealth, I declare. But by merely recalling ancient lineage of his mother and father, his physical rebirth of personhood is reckoned as that. If his physical rebirth if he's reborn in the kshatriya family, then it's kshatriya. That's true. Wherever he's reborn, whatever class he's reborn to, yes, it might be called that. Just as a fire, you got wood fire, grass fire, and so on. Even cow dung fire. That's cow dung, jolly grass, and when it's dry, you can burn it. So it says, just like fire is called by the source, so too, whichever family you are born from, yes, you are called that. But you can rise up from that family. 13.1. If Brahmin, one from a kshatriya family, goes forth, that means renounces, becomes a monk, for example, and goes forth from the home into the homeless life, and after meeting the Dharma and Vinaya, or teaching and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata, he refrains from destroying life and all the other 9 wrong actions, wrong karma, then he has followed the path of wholesome truth. In other words, notice the word there, right way. When you see the word right way, it means eightfold path. It means on the way to awakening. So here, let me summarize this whole section because they're repeat, they're very easy to understand. The Buddha said you can be born as a kshatriya, a brahmin, a vaisya, or a shudra. You can be born into a priest class, noble class, merchant class, or worker class. But if you give up that family, you become a monk, you become a nun, and you practice accordingly, you will gain the same path to goodness, to awakening. It doesn't matter which class you are born into. So here, notice again, what the Buddha is saying here, goodness is not according to birth. Socially, yes, we are called Chinese, Indian, whatever, But if you become a monk, it doesn't matter what race you are. Right? That's the meaning. And that's why it's not meaningful to really talk of a kind of a racist kind of Buddhism. When we say Chinese Buddhism, Indian Buddhism, it's purely cultural terms, historical terms. Okay? But ultimately, when you practice, when you meditate, you close your eyes, you forget about all those extra levels. We want to go back to the original Dharma, if you will. So good is universal, 14.1. What do you think, Brahmin? Is it only a Brahmin who can cultivate a heart of loving kindness in the region here, free from hate, free from ill will, and not a kshatriya, not a vaisya, not a shudra, right? So we'll say anyone can cultivate loving kindness, not just a Brahmin or just a kshatriya or only a vaisya, only a shudra. Anyone, the last line is the most important. Indeed, Master Gautama says, the Brahmin says, anyone can cultivate a heart of loving kindness in this region. You're free from hate, free from ill will, right? So, Buddhism is not limited by class or by race.